All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checker TV. Tonight we have the Dark Horse Racing Area 51 Series tonight here at Auto Club. Let's say this is the race number 3 of the 4 in the playoffs, as they are hopped on board with my partner in crime in that pink and black car of Steve Gottschalk. He's going to take a couple laps around here tonight to kind of show what we have to expect for this evening. So, Steve, I'm going to let you take it away, sir.
Okay, I'm not really doing a qual run here. I just want everybody to see basically that you can run any line on this track flat out. I am in 6th gear the whole way around here. And what I learned in practice, I ran a lot of laps with Bud Steele. We kept swapping spots with each other. It's going to be almost impossible to pass on the outside unless you get a really huge run on somebody. And you actually do get a hell of a run with these cars. But I think most of the passing is going to be done on the inside, and it's going to be a lot like a typical stock car super speedway race, I expect. Okay, here you can see I'm gonna take the inside line now.
And are you noticing anything different? Like if you hit the seams or get your tire on the seam, does the car react, maybe loosen up a little bit, or does it feel like it's pretty stable no matter where you run it?
It feels pretty stable no matter where I run it. You know what we'll try here? When I get down into turn 1 and 2, I'm gonna try and go on the apron.
Well, I'll say, remember that car repair bill is going to come out of your pocket here.
Okay.
Oh, our car. It's ruined. But no, and so yeah, that is going to be a thing though, Steve. I think these drivers have to be very careful and very aware of that right there. I think, as I said, I think that's actually a really good thing to show is the fact that you get too focused on these guys around you. You're going to watch and you're going to try to hit that, probably try to get as low as you can, and you're going to catch that apron in turn 3, turn 4. So yeah, these drivers have to be very, very smart, very aware of what's going on around them. So I think that's going to be very crucial. But I do want to bring up our points going into tonight and say with Henry Bennett right now with a 13-point lead over Nick DeGroot. Say those two have definitely been two of the top drivers this season. You see 3 wins apiece with them. And they say right now Henry's got the edge with 1 more top 5 than Nick. But then Nick has more top 10s than Henry. So I'll say it's kind of evening out. But so far this playoff, Henry's been able to just get a little bit further ahead, and they've really stretched it out over third place Matt Wagner. He's 32 out of the lead. Then you got Charles Teed. They're only 6 behind Matt. And then 2 more for Alec Coates. Unfortunately, Alec not able to make it tonight. Had some other obligations he had to take care of this evening. But then you got Craig Forsyth, SA. And I don't know if Andrew Wood made it or not this evening. I think he is in the server. I see Andrew. Yeah, so Andrew, I think this might be his last race of the season. Then he's going to have to step away. As of course, with him giving up his playoff spot. So then you have Jeff Heisong and Jim Brooks, the last 2 of our playoff contenders. Not the way they wanted their playoffs to kick off. So again, there's still 2 to go. So it's going to be tough sledding for some of those guys towards the back to get to the top 3 even. But obviously you always want to try to get as far up you can in the running order. So right now, depending on how this race goes, though, I feel like it's almost getting to the point of possibly a 2-horse race though between Henry Bennett and Nick DeGroot. And with that, I believe qualifying has just completed here. So we are going to go ahead and pull up our starting grid for tonight. And on pole position is going to be just who we just mentioned, that 007 of Henry Bennett. So he's able to get the pole by almost a full 1/10 of a second. So a great qualifying lap for that 007 machine. So that's going to really help his cause again, trying to get into that playoff position. To really solidify his spot. Next to him, you've got Jari Brupaker. Jari's been having a really good string of races as of late with a great qualifying run tonight. Then you got Matt Wagner there in 3rd, Nick DeGroot there in 4th. Then you got Charles Teed, also one of our playoff contenders, Jimmy Drynan, Gary Corley, Todd Merkel, Jeff Heisong, David Leclerc, Craig Forsyth, and Bud Steele. Then we'll continue down the order there. You've got Andrew Wood there in 13th, then Michael Spell, Jack Walls, obviously Steve not racing tonight, so then you have Joseph Morales, James Ledford, Benjamin Combs, Jim Brooks, and Joseph Desir. I believe 20 cars going to be taking part in this one tonight. Like I mentioned, though, that pole going to go to that 007 of Henry Bennett. So Say again, bonus points there as well, as he's going to get 1 bonus point for that pole position, able to just give himself that little bit of extra cushion again now over Nick DeGroot. So saying unfortunately for Nick, that's going to hurt him again. It's going to drop him an extra point behind Henry. And of course, there's always that lap led and the most laps led, and of course having an incident-free race. So those are going to be the crucial things that we'll be looking for these drivers this evening. And then also need to mention fuel window. Looks like it's gonna be roughly around 24, maybe 25 laps, depending on where you are in draft, how aggressive you are on the throttle. So I think that's gonna be a big one as well, to make sure that you get in that window. If it stays caution free, you're gonna want to make sure you run that 25, 26 laps on field, because if you have to make that extra pit stop, it's really gonna hurt you on the running order as well. So I think those are gonna be the very, very critical things. And like Steve mentioned too, it's going to be a bit like a super speedway race. Let's say we're used to those on the Sunday evenings. We're going to be getting those with these cars going probably about 220 plus would be my rough guess of the speeds these cars are going to be showing tonight.
And actually, one thing that we should mention, the one big difference between the Indy cars and a super speedway type race and a stock car. In the Indy cars, for whatever reason, the car, when 2 cars are running nose to tail and drafting with each other, the front car really doesn't get any benefit from it, whereas in the stock cars, both cars go faster, so the front car gets a lot of benefit from drafting in any of the stock cars. So it's very weird, and because of that, the car that's drafting from behind is capable of getting a hell of a run on the car in front of him in this.
Yeah, I'm going to be really interested to see how this all pans out. I really feel like I think we're going to see that third line even come into play. I was watching them in practice, and I did see at times Henry Bennett and Nick DeGroot, they were able to work side by side with one another, and actually that middle groove, you had to try to pinch that inside car down to the white line, and then you could make that second groove work. So I saw some passes between the two of them there. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see, though. We're going to see the pace car duck off here in just a moment. And then once that green flag flies, it's going to be Henry Bennett, Jari Brupacher going to lead the field here to the green. Again, race distance 100 laps tonight as the green flag flies. And we are underway here at Auto Club Speedway.
A couple other things I noticed when I was running my laps at practice. This track is very bumpy. It's not quite so bumpy that it unsettles the car, but you still feel a lot of like washboard effect in your steering wheel if you've got force feedback turned on. Boy, look at
Nick DeGroot wasting no time. He wants to get that lap led off the bat. He's going to get the lead in 3. Now the question is, can he hold that momentum off of 4 to try to hold that spot? As you say, they're going to go 3 wide through the trial. Well, Nick DeGroot is going to get that lap led, but he's got Henry Bennett to his outside, Jari Brupacher right next to him as well in that 49 car. And so we talked about those 3 grooves, and say we're showing them really early, and even higher there, a little further back, was that 99 of Jimmy Drynan. So these guys using all the track that they can right now. As you can see, again, these guys trying to give each other a little bit of space, make sure they hold. And you can see right now, they kind of use those seams, Steve, almost as their lanes, if you will. And I think that's one thing that's really nice about the way this track is set up, is you kind of have that ability where you know where you are in relation to the others just based on that seam.
Yeah, I guess that would be helpful. I should have been trying that when I was out practicing, because I have trouble judging where the side of my car is in these to begin with. So when I was running with Bud Steele, and there were times when I would like to have tried pinching him down when I was on the outside, but I'm just not comfortable enough in these cars to do that.
Yeah, and the thing is, I mean, with these cars too, it's definitely a risk versus reward, because the thing that we're going to still run into here, you're still going to get that aero wash, the aero push, as I believe Henry Bennett may have led that lap that last time by, but now it's Jari Brupacher is going to take the point. Close call there between Matt Wagner and Andrew Wood. Almost contact between the two of them. You can see, I think Matt had to roll out of the throttle. He's losing many positions here. So we saw Andrew go by. We see the 50 David Leclerc go by. Charles Teeds working over Matt as well. So Matt's going to have to regain some momentum and kind of get that push back forward towards the front of the group. As a little further back as well, Craig Forsyth, Jeff Hysong running side by side with one another as well. So So there's going to be a lot of side-by-side racing here, especially early on when the tires are fresh, everything's feeling good. But at some point, I think things will spread out just a little bit, and there is going to be definitely some management with how the car handles. And also, of course, trying to manage those tires. So I think if you can take it easy initially, I think that will play dividends as you get into that fuel window. Say up front still Jari Brupacher and Nick de Groot running side by side. So almost reverse paint scheme looks, if you will, say black and yellow, and then yellow and black. I guess you could kind of compare. So there's a little bit of blue in Yari's as well, but it's pretty dark blue, so it's hard to get the great picture of. But a couple big movers early on, though, saying I'm not a bit surprised with that. It's going to be that 99 of Jimmy Dryden, the 50 David Leclerc. Say it's a lot of those drivers we talk about. These guys are always fast week in and week out, but just unfortunately usually find their way into trouble early on these races and kind of just put themselves in a bad position to have to try to rebound. So right now they're in a good spot, but I'll say they got to try to make sure that they're there for another 93, 94 more laps in this one. As I say, as we continue on under green here. Also Andrew Wood, I'll say one of our he shows up, you kind of expect a top 3 out of him, so he's going to be another one that I'm sure all of these drivers are going to be kind of keeping an eye on tonight.
And Jimmy Dryden right up there in the thick of it now too. This is his kind of track, I think.
Yeah, I was able to talk to a few drivers during the practice before the race, and yeah, there's a lot of drivers feel like this is going to be a very fun one as long as everybody kind of kept within their limits and kind of respected the boundaries of the other drivers, that they could probably put on a really good show tonight. I think you're seeing that early on. You're still seeing, of course, some aggression, drivers wanting to get to the front, try to get some laps led, maybe try to just be up front, control the pace of this race. But you're seeing a lot of times, though, if they get too close, someone will roll out of it a little bit. You see that everybody's giving plenty of room with one another because, of course, we always talk about that dreaded net code as David Leclerc. He's going to jump to the top here. We talked about that third lane. We'll see if David can make some momentum happen on that top side. Right now, it looks like it's just not quite enough, especially as you see right there, Jari running about 2 grooves up. So that really limits David's options there to run that third line.
And it's interesting, Henry Bennett's dropped back to around 5th and doesn't seem to be trying too hard to make his way forward. So I'm wondering if he's doing a little fuel saving back there.
That's what I'm thinking as well. Say Henry's a very, very talented, smart driver. So I think you're exactly right. We mentioned the fuel window probably in that 23, 24 range, kind of I think at full rich. So you're gonna want to be able to go 26, 25, somewhere in that range. If you can stretch even further, that all the better that you can get, of course. So I think right now this is a prime time to save fuel. The other driver I think is really probably kind of just managing his stuff and being smart about things is that 5 of Charles Teed. I say we've seen Charles does really well in the strategy side of things. If things, of course, always have to go your way to make it happen, but I say Charles always puts himself in position to try to get into that potential beneficiary location of saving fuel and saving your tires until it's really time to go. So say whether it may be the fuel map just on the throttle, there's a lot of things, of course, that these guys can do here tonight to save some fuel.
It's interesting to watch this battle up here. It's kind of playing out like what I experienced in practice, where the outside guy can catch up on the straightaway and stay side by side at the beginning of the turn, but the guy who's leading, if he stays on the inside, is able to still hang on to the lead. The only one that I've seen so far make a pass on the outside, at least for the lead, was Henry Bennett. And, that may have something to do with the way he was driving it. And it may also be, in the first couple laps of the race, you can get away with that. But once the tires are worn a little bit, you can't. But
yeah.
Henry seems very, very committed to running the outside line.
Yeah, and I think you're spot on there, Steve. I say if there's someone who's going to try to make this top work right now, it is going to be that 50 of David Leclerc. Like I said, he's had a lot of bad luck this season. You can see almost gets clear there of Nick de Groot, but not quite there. But you can see right now he's giving, again, about probably 2 full car width a part of that 89 car. So I say should David choose to, he could definitely squeeze Nick a little harder if he wants to. But again, we're only on lap number 14 here, so again, a lot of time to go. And the nice part for David, of course, is the fact that he's got clean air on that car. So he's really able to keep the speed up a little bit and not have to worry about kind of getting that tightness. So again, you see him make that big draft there, then jumps to the outside, tries to pull the momentum. You see there was just about a tire width away from being able to clear the 89 car. But again, Nick DeGroot, though, able to manage this. And for Nick, though, I think he has to be aggressive here, as you see Jari Brubacher trying to maybe make some moves as well. But I think Nick needs to try to get these laps led. I'll say obviously we know that Henry got a lap led. We know Nick did, so that kind of puts them even there. But again, though, Henry got the pole. That's a bonus point that Nick can't get. So honestly, I mean, the best way for him to offset that now is to be able to get the most laps led in the 89 car and be able to take that one away from Henry. So that's going to be, I think, some strategy as well that we're going to see out of our front drivers here tonight.
Yeah, the one concern that we have, because from what you said, these guys are like right on the edge of the pit window. If with Nick running out front, he's burning more fuel than pretty much everybody else in this field, and he's going to be one of the first ones to have to pit. If he doesn't make 25 laps, he could potentially have to take an extra pit stop if this thing stays green.
Yeah, that's a very valid point, Steve. So I'm sure he'll be watching his numbers as well. So you're right. It's going to be very interesting to see. Maybe at some point Nick opts to kind of roll out a little bit and then start saving some more. But right now, though, still holding up front pretty steady, these top three. I say Andrew Wood, he's made his way now up into that 4th position. So started a little further back than we're used to seeing him, but he's definitely climbed up as well. Again, still very early on in this. Again, you can see David trying everything he can here, and he gets so tantalizing close to clearing that 89 car entering turn 3, but just can't quite do it. But again, you can see gives him a ton of room out of 3 and 4. And I think if he squeezes him a little bit more, he probably could make that pass happen. But now let's say he's got Jari Brubacher. He gets the big run off of turn 4. He's going to put that 3rd line in use and see what he can make happen. But again, you see right now everybody giving each other plenty of room between one another. I think we'll definitely see the gaps between the cars shrink as this race gets a little bit closer to the end.
I actually thought David Leclerc was going to get him on that last lap because he had such a tremendous amount of momentum going into turn 3 and really had just about cleared Nick DeGroot.
Yeah, saying right now it's again, they're just kind of everybody's kind of jumping where they can get some positions and get some clean air on the front wings of these cars, and that's the thing is you got to find that spot, either ducking a little bit high, a little low, maybe getting that late apex as well. Those are going to be the things you have to do, and you can see every time Nick DeGroot's going to go right to that white line, make sure he protects that, because as soon as he doesn't, David's going to peek below that white line to try to take that spot away. So right now these guys putting on a really good show up front here. I'll say not to take anything away from the guys further back right now. Actually, our highest climber is in that 51 of Jim Brooks. Started back in, I believe, the 20th position, now up into the top 10 and 9th, and still, I think, within range of this draft as well. Of this lead pack's kind of separated himself around from Gary Corley, so he's made a pretty big move here early on while these leaders continue to battle out up front. And that's the other thing, Steve, is that the distance you can be still with picking up the draft. These cars, probably about 1.4, 1.5 seconds. As long as you're in that window, you have the draft of that car in front of you, and so that's very crucial, of course, for these things as well.
So it looks like you can pretty much throw a blanket over the top 9 cars.
Yeah, I think right now top 9 are all within about a second and a half. I mean, it's not that far from Gary either. He's about 2.3 away. But yeah, I mean, right now, you can just pretty much, like you said, just throw the blanket over them. And then you can see, again, a lot of movement still. Everybody's trying to jockey for that clean air. So you see right there, Jari Brubacher got a little bit of dirty air there, had to move a little higher, but then able to kind of get some clean air to kind of get that car to settle back down again. But yeah, so right now, like you said, even we mentioned Gary Corley falling back a little bit. He's coming right back up again now. The one driver I'm a little surprised that hasn't made a big charge early on here, one of our playoff contenders, though, Steve, is that 27 of Craig Forsyth. I'm thinking Craig is probably full fuel save right now in that car. I think really just trying to keep his car clean and not have to really stretch it too hard. And then he'll be able to be able to really go aggressive on those last couple of runs should this thing go green.
Yeah, and really I'm looking all the way back to 16th, 17th. I mean, everybody's close enough that if they want to move up, I think that they'd be able to because they're not. Nobody seems to be so far behind the car ahead of them that they would have lost the draft.
Yeah, exactly right. So one driver that has fallen way off, unfortunately, is that 99 of Jimmy Drynan. We were talking about him earlier. So I think maybe, I'm wondering if he maybe caught the wall or maybe has a little bit of damage to that 99 car, because I say definitely the pace isn't there anymore for him. He's kind of falling off the lead pack as well. I'll say Joseph DeCiro also in a kind of a dangerous spot from falling off the lead pack. So we'll keep an eye on them. I'll say for those guys, they're right getting to that window because, Steve, we're already at lap number 24. We talked about that fuel window. I think, like I said, I think 25, 26, I think that's the magic number to make it to the end, or to make it, I should say, on the 3-stop strategy. So we're going to watch Nick DeGroot. So I think he'd be the first of the leaders to pit, but he stays out, Steve, so he's making great fuel mileage even while controlling the pace of this race.
Yeah, definitely. So I think fuel mileage is not going to play into this unless we have some cautions that really throw a monkey wrench into it.
Yeah, exactly right. So it's going to be fun to see how that one pans out. So I suspect, though, I think you'll, I don't know if you're able to kind of peek in on the driver radio, but I suspect we're going to hear some drivers probably calling out they'll be pitting soon here. Like I said, I feel like Nick DeGroot probably going to have to be one of the first ones. I see everybody jumping high. I don't know if that's in relation to him. It's not. But we do have one jumping in early. It's going to be David Leclerc in that 50 car. So he's going to hit pit road. He's going to bring Jack Walls along with him. They're pitting at lap number 26. But again, though, somehow, Nick DeGroot still stays out. So yeah, some great fuel mileage from that 89 car, even while controlling the pace of this race.
Yeah, definitely.
So now the question is, who can go, how far can somebody really stretch this thing if they try to? So we mentioned like a Craig Forsyth, I feel like he's been really saving. I see a couple cars maybe starting to drop back a little bit. Here they come, a few more here. It's going to be Nick DeGroot, Yari Brewpacker. Oh, it's a big slide for Nick. Hopefully got down to speed in time. Also going to bring in Jim Brooks, Gary Corley. We mentioned David Leclerc, and also in the pits with Jack Walls. I think they just exited the pits. That's going to now cycle Andrew Wood to the front, and then he's got Henry Bennett and Matt Wagner right behind him. And trying to make sure, yeah, it looks like a clean pit stop for David and Jack, I say. But I believe, yeah, with those pit stops, they are right now cycled one lap down.
David did slide slightly through his pit stall and had to back up.
It looks like also Benjamin Combs just now hitting pit road. And Steve, oh, this is going to be a heartbreaker right now. Nick DeGroot sitting in the pit still. That's going to be due to a pit penalty, probably too fast on entry. So he's going to need desperately to have a yellow at some point in this race to have any chance to get back into this one. So I believe usually those are about a 40-second stop and hold. So he's going to probably sit for about another half a lap or so before he gets rolling out. So say just a huge misfortune there for Nick. As I said, now you see Henry Bennett. He hits pit road. Actually, see one I think may have caught the pit wall on entry there. Also brought Charles Teed in with him. Joseph Morales, Todd Merkel. We mentioned Jimmy Dryden. He's in pit road now as well. But these guys are really stretching this fuel out right now, though. Andrew Wood, say he's on lap number 29. Now the question is, Steve, can anybody maybe go to a lap 33 and really throw a wrench and try to make this a two-stop race?
Well, that would certainly be interesting. I'll be shocked.
Here comes a few more in. Matt Wagner, Andrew Wood. You got Jeff Hysong. You got Michael Spell, Bud Steele. And the one driver is still sitting out on track here. I talked about maybe Craig really saving fuel on 27 car. And here he goes. He really saved fuel. He's able to go further than anybody. Can he get to lap 33 mark or so? That's hard to say. I'm skeptical about it. But we'll keep an eye on him and see where he cycles out as well once he makes his pit stop. But yeah, right now, oh, Steve, Henry Bennett also too fast on entry. He's still sitting in the pits as well. Our two championship leaders. This could really shake up the points if this thing stays green. Those were the top two in the points that have made big mistakes here.
Wow, and I'm shocked that Henry made that mistake, because if he was aware that Nick made the mistake, then all he had to really do was just be a little extra careful.
Oh, caution is out as well, Steve. Just came out. I think Charles Teed had a moment. I think he wrecked. He's already had to tow back to the pits, so that's going to bring the yellow out. Oh, man, this is all kind of jumping around here. We're going to watch from Charles Teed's point of view and see what happened to this 5 car, as right now he's sitting right behind Jim Brooks coming out of 4. Looks like he's trying to hit pit road, possibly a penalty on exit, I would say, because this is after his scheduled pit stop already. And oh, you see, already starts getting loose there. And I'm trying to see. I'm confused what happened there for Charles. Let's say, but I think he catches the grass. Unfortunately, at that point, he's just along for the ride here. And then you see cars coming around him every which way, so they have to throw the yellow there. I'll say, surprised he took a tow though on that one as well. So that's a third championship contender now to get bit by this, Steve. And that's going to bring now, we'll go back live because that's going to cycle everything now to Craig Forsyth as our race leader, who's having to pretty much come to a stop right now to wait for the pace car here. So saying, man, if that caution came out a lap earlier, Craig would have had the field lapped, I believe. Actually, he might already have the field lap still. I'm waiting for the ticker to update, but Craig...
He does have the whole field lap. I think he must have run out of fuel because he passed the pace car. Look at him.
I'm trying to see. Let's try to see if the car... Yeah, it's not rolling anymore. Oh, he's going to have to stop. He's going to have to take a tow. Steve, what is happening? Now it's going to be Matt Wagner in the lead. And then I believe... I'm trying to see about the... I think Matt Wagner just got the wave around because I think the field was all trapped a lap down.
They were all trapped a lap down. I wonder if iRacing's scoring system will be able to handle this one.
So what this is effectively going to do is it's basically now going to give Matt Wagner pretty much a lap on the field. But what I suspect is going to happen is he'll probably have to pit here, or I think he'll decide to pit here, maybe just take a splash of fuel, and then the rest of the field are all going to stay out and take a wave around. And then I'll get everything back, I think, back in order again. But, man, that's probably about the craziest thing we've seen in a long time here in the Indy Series. And also, I mean, just, again, the timing of yellow is just, yeah, kind of crazy there as well. But you have to wonder, I mean, Craig was already in the pits when that caution flew. I'm a little confused why he would have possibly stayed out in that situation as well.
Actually, no, he was not in the pits when the caution flew. He was out on the track.
Oh, you're right. He had yet to pit, so he ran out. You're right. So he did wind up running out of fuel because of the timing of the yellow. Oh, that's right. I thought he had already pitted. So yeah, so he just ran out of fuel waiting for the pits to be open, and that forced him to take the tow, which now is saying I think that's going to wind up putting him, I believe, at least a lap down. But I'm still curious about Henry Bennett and Nick DeGroot, where they're going to cycle through in all of this as well. So I'm trying to keep an eye on kind of a bunch of things at once here. As Charles Teed, he's got back out on track. I believe he is a few laps down, 2 or 3 down, I believe. As here goes, as you're going to see pretty much the whole field here, Steve. We're going to take a wave around. A few drivers opt to pit here, surprisingly. You see Jim Brooks, Gary Corley. I'm not sure about this strategy because I say now they're going to stay trapped a lap down with those two cars. But I believe when it's all said and done, though, it's going to cycle Matt Wagner back as the race leader. And then Jari Brubacher is going to restart second after getting the wave around. Matt's also having to actually wait for some cars to get their, I think, position on track as well. So, yeah, I'm a little surprised here, though, Steve. I feel like if you were Matt, you might as well have pitted there, get that splash of fuel, because you would have basically been in an advantage over everybody else. But now behind him, though, he's going to have Gary Corley, Jim Brooks. They're both one lap down here. They had just pitted there under that yellow instead of opting to get the wave around. So right now, those two are the first car one lap down over Henry Bennett and Nick DeGroot. So, and I believe Craig Forsyth still sits in the pits as well. So, oh my goodness, that could have been perfection for Craig. Oh yeah, yep. There you said he's rolling out now.
So here's what Craig had to deal with. He ran out of gas on the back straight, and in order to try and make it to his pit stall, he pushed his clutch in and let it coast. Coasted past the pace car, coasted all the way around 3 and 4. He was almost at the line going into the pits, and then he realizes he's got a choice. He either is going to get a black flag for passing the pace car, and I'm not sure what that does to him, or he's going to stop at the line or slow down as much as he can, which is what he did, and hope that the pace car passes him before he hits the line. But unfortunately, he lost so much momentum when he did that that there was no way he was going to be able to coast all the way to his pit, which caused him to have to take a tow. And
I think now it sits 1 lap down, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
So I'm waiting for the timing to update to see exactly where he is. But basically right now, though, our race leader is the 11 of Matt Wagner, and you have to go back a couple cars until you get to second place, which is Jari Brupacher. I think the 50 of David Leclerc, I think he caught the wall off of 2, Steve. You can see he's trying to drop to the apron here. Yeah, that car definitely damaged, unfortunately. So, as he catches the grass, he's going to slide. I think he's going to be able to get away with it. Might be able to take a tow without bringing a yellow. He's actually going to reverse it. And it's going to let Craig swing on by. So I think we're going to stay green with him getting off track there. But yeah, honestly, that could have been a very, very bad situation there. Luckily, nobody was around him when it happened. But yeah, so we'll jump back to our leader because, yeah, right now Matt Wagner is showing as our leader. That car behind him, that is the 7 of Gary Corley. He is the first car one down as things run. And then you have Jari Brupacher in second. As you see, there's the 50 rolling real slow in the apron. Oh, contact in the back. Jim Brooks, he gets hit. Couldn't see who got into him. That's going to bring the yellow out, though. I think it was Andrew Wood. Another car involved. Jack Walls gets into him as well. So we got multiple cars involved in this one, Steve. So caution back out. I'm trying to see who the other car was caught up in that one, but we'll go back and see what exactly happened with these guys. But we are back under yellow with all that, though.
Okay, we've officially hit the point of too many things happening at the same time.
Yep, I was like, all right. So we're watching Andrew Wood here coming out of 4. He's on the inside of Jim Brooks. That car just washed up straight into the 51. I say not maybe arrow push or something, but yeah. So say that's where Andrew and Jim get together. And I'm trying to see who that third car that rolls into this one as well was. He almost gets it stopped. I think he still makes a little bit of contact, not terrible. I can't tell the paint scheme car number on the. Oh, I think it's the 18 actually. I'm sorry. I think that's the 18 of Jeff Heisong. Yeah, Jeff Heisong there did his best he could to avoid that. But you see, here comes Jack Walls, and so you can see the track pretty much completely blocked. He makes additional heavy contact with Jim, and so yeah, so a lot of cars caught up in that one here. So yeah, so kind of from crazier to crazier. But I believe. It looks like Matt Wagner staying out. This should put the 7 of Gary Corley back on the lead lap. But look at strategy here, Steve. Matt Wagner, but also actually Michael Spells, Joseph DeCiro, they stay out, which will trap Henry Bennett a lap down still, so he won't be able to take the wave around by staying out when everybody else pits. So I'm not sure if he'll get to pit this next time around or not, Steve, but Nick DeGroot, he did hit pit road. But yeah, like you said, there's too much to keep up on right now.
Yep.
So we've got a lot of different pit strategies right now. I feel like everybody that pitted here, the first of those that I think that's come out is Bud Steele, and Bud looks like he went with fuel only in that 6 car. He's going to cycle out in 4th. And basically, he pitted now on lap 38 compared to lap 29. So he's got 9 laps more fuel than Matt Wagner. I'm wondering, I got to do the numbers here. Can he make it on one more stop?
I think from lap 39, if you can, let's say you can stretch it to, let's say you can go 31 laps.
Or sorry, not one more stop. I'm sorry, 2 more stops. Whereas Matt possibly might be in the 3-stop window still. No, that's right. Yeah, we're trying to see if we can make it on 2. So it'd be 6. No, he'd have to go 30 laps, and I think there's no realistic way that's possible.
Why? We had somebody went like 31 or 32.
Did Craig go in the 30s?
Yeah, I think he went 32 laps before he ran out of gas.
Let's see if we can find out. So right now, though, Steve, we have 10 cars on the lead lap, if I'm not mistaken, right now. And only 2 of those drivers, I believe, are the playoff contenders. You have Matt Wagner leading. You have Jeff Heisong in 6th. I believe everybody else are drivers that are not in the playoffs. So, say those other playoff drivers we were talking about, you got Henry Bennett, who stayed out there, Nick DeGroot, who came in and pitted there, Craig Forsyth, who was unfortunately had run out of fuel, Jim Brooks, who was just in that incident, unfortunately, Charles Teed, who he had had his incident through the pits. And I'm trying to remember who else was in the playoffs. I don't have my list handy with me. The 18 of Jimmy Drynan, or sorry, no, the 18 of, where did he go? Jeff Hysong. He had a little bit of damage in that one, but I believe. Oh yeah, we talked about he's still on the lead lap. Yeah, I can't keep up. But Steve, we're about to go back green. But we got a lot of different strategies here. This is gonna be, if this thing stays green, this is gonna be very, very interesting.
I wonder if Matt stayed out on purpose just to keep those guys a lap down.
I think so, and I think if he did, I think that's a very smart strategy. I mean, he could have pitted there, obviously, because he had Michael Spell and Joseph DeCiro stay out, but you never know what the other guys are going to do. But with that, you see he dropped the hammer. He is back underway, and we are back to green here at Auto Club Speedway, and he gets a great jump here over the 88 of Michael Spell. Again, that draft, he's only got to be about a second and a half, and he'll be able to close back in. But for now, at least Matt's going to get a little bit of breathing room.
Well, and the other thing that Matt may have been thinking is that there's only one other person in the playoffs on the lead lap, which is Jeff Hysong. So he may have been thinking, just that's the only guy I have to worry about.
Yeah, so I'm obviously still a long, long ways to go, not even halfway in this one yet. But as you see, here goes Henry Bennett. He's actually able to get around a few of those cars to get himself back as now the first car one down, but also right behind the leader now. So that's going to be, I think, Henry's goal is to try to get around Matt as they're pitted right around the same time before those cautions came out. But yeah, so right now it's definitely getting very busy. You also see here comes Charles Teed. He needs to get some laps back as well. Teed's actually 2 laps down. So if he can get around this 88 of Michael Spell, then try to get around the 11 of Matt Wagner, get himself back to 1 down. If he catches a timely caution there, that'll put him right back into the thick of things as well. So there's a lot of stuff going on in this one. But say right now, Matt's just, I think, kind of enjoying what he's got in front of him. Because he's going to have a very hungry group of cars not too far behind. But right now, those 2 cars behind him, though, they're both a lap or more down.
Yep, I think the biggest thing I'm worried about for Matt Wagner is there's no way that he can make it on just one more stop. He's definitely going to need 2.
Yep.
I think the guys that pitted under this last yellow, some of them may be able to make it on 1 stop.
Yeah, this will be very interesting to say. The 2 that we'll be watching, I think, as you see, makes a big jump to the inside there, are going to be right now Bud Steele and Jeff Hysong are the furthest up. As you see, Bud gets tight there on the inside, luckily able to avoid the contact. But yeah, I think these 2, as you see, now it's going to be Jeff Hysong going to try to look underneath him. But yeah, there's a handful of guys that pitted there, so they're going to be the ones I'm going to watch for sure. I do need to mention up front, though, Henry Bennett, he has gotten back around Matt Wagner. So right now, Henry's on the tail end of the lead lap. And right now, Charles Teed is the first car 1 down. So obviously, Charles would be the beneficiary of that. But look at who's the next car in line to be able to try to get that lap back. And that's the 89 again, Nick DeGroot. So say for Nick right now, he's the biggest Charles Teed fan right now. He wants that 5 to get around the 11 car just in case of a caution. Because they say if it doesn't come, or if it does come out and he's where he is, he's going to still stay trapped 1 lap down.
Well, even if Charles Teed is 2 laps down, right?
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. So yeah, you're right. So yeah, so actually right now he would still be the first car 1 down, which would get him the lap back. So yeah, so Charles Teed is Charles Teed's biggest fan right now, which is I need to get around that 11 car to put myself 1 down, not 2 down. Yeah, right. You're exactly right. Sorry. Again, too much to keep track of, Steve. But yeah, so I think still the drivers I really am going to be, if we stay green again, that's the big question mark. The ones I'm very interested in, though, are going to be Jeff Hysong, Bud Steele, Yari Brupacher, Benjamin Combs. They're the furthest up of those that pitted under that last yellow. So if they're saving fuel, like you said, if they can go that 30 or so laps and then pit and then be able to go another 30 or so, it might be doable. It's going to be, still got a long ways to go, of course. Like I said, almost at the halfway mark as we start lap number 48. But yeah, this one's been wild here.
I do think it could still work out in Matt's favor if he has to take an extra pit stop, if it's just, taking a splash of fuel. he may, because the guys that are a lap down are still going to have to make a whole circuit around the track, assuming they stay a lap down.
Oh man, you heard right there. Charles Teed had to really roll out of the throttle because Nick DeGroot came with a huge run. Here he goes. He's going to go 3 wide to the inside into 1. So he's going to get it pretty much 3 cars in 1 set of turns there, as Nick DeGroot's making some power moves right now. So now he's also on the tail end of the lead lap with Henry Bennett now with him, as these guys start to kind of battle side by side. So this could actually be a perfect break for Charles Teed, as we had mentioned, because now with these guys side by side, he might have the chance to try to get around that 11 car as he gets tight there on the inside. Got in that wake of the 89 car. But right now, say second place, third place, they are right on the rear wing of Matt Wagner, and that is the 88 of Michael Spell, the 110 of Joseph DeCiro. So as I said, again, there goes the 5 diving to the inside of the 11. So Matt's got to be careful here. You, of course, want to hold your track position, but you can't be too aggressive because they've got a lot more to lose right now than you do. Or vice versa. I can't talk today, Steve.
I'm surprised that Charles Teed wasn't able to pull that pass off, because he got down on the inside. It looks like he's just really tight right now.
Yeah, that car does not seem to be handling well. So I'm not sure, maybe a little bit of damage or maybe just some weight jack or adjustments need to be made. But you see there, I think he had to roll out of it. He's had to really fall back here, so he's going to have to kind of regroup and try to chase these guys back down. Whereas Matt Wagner, I think right now if you're Matt, I don't know if saving is going to be the right call for you, but maybe just kind of at this point you've got your 2 rivals right in front of you. Again, right now they're on the tail end lead lap, but they're 11th and 12th here, and they well actually I should say Nick DeGroot did pit, Henry Bennett did not, so Matt and Henry will be pitting roughly around the same lap. Should we stay green, Nick will be able to go further. So it's all to play for right now. And right now the drivers that pitted though, Jeff Heisong, he has really climbed up the running order now. He's up to 3rd position. So it's all to play for right now with these guys.
If I'm Matt Wagner, I'm just going to hang out behind those guys, save fuel, and because every bit I save is another few laps I can go without having to pit. And even though he's going to have to take an extra pit stop compared to these guys, most likely, it just means that much less fuel he'll have to take on his last stop.
Yeah, no, that is very true. Yeah, so I mean, if he can stretch it now while keeping that track position, I think that would be good. As you see, here comes the 50, David Leclerc. David also trying to get back on the lead lap here. So he was 1 down. Now he's on the tail end of the lead lap, but almost gets in the back of Nick DeGroot there in entry. He has to move up a little bit to get that clean air on his front wing. So now, say with all this going on, so now the lucky dog position sits with the 27 of Craig Forsyth. But say he's going to be, I think he's already actually battling for that position with Andrew Wood as they're side by side for that position. Again, should a caution come out, this is the battle for who would get that wave around to get back on the lead lap. So again, so much going on right now. And yeah, still like 10 cars on the lead lap, but then we've got 3 cars on the very, very tail end of the lead lap. And like I said, Charles Teed still trying to find a way to get around that 11 car to put himself to just 1 down.
And he keeps washing up the track on the exit of the turns.
Yeah, it's just that car, just something isn't happy with that car. Is now Jeff Heisong's trying to work over the 5 car. Can't quite clear him, but did you mention Jeff as in 2nd position right there on Matt Wagner. But now the question, Steve, is going to be again the pit strategy. Where Matt last pitted on lap 30. We've had some on 29, I should say. We've had some cautions, but we're starting to get into that window where I believe he's going to have to start thinking about making that pit stop pretty soon. But yeah, so we're at 45 to go in this one. That's as they cross the line. Like I said, I think he's going to still have to make 2 stops. As Joseph DeCiro, he just hit pit road as one of those drivers that did not pit under those yellows. So that makes you think Matt Wagner probably not too far away from having to hit pit road himself. As Charles Teed finally gets the spot, Steve.
All right, it's the countdown to Matt Wagner having to pit.
Yeah, pretty much, honestly. So right now, it's because, again, like I said, 2nd position right now is Jeff Heisong, and Jeff's in a good spot. I say he's where he needs to be right now. He can go a little further. Didn't mention Andrew Wood has gotten around David Leclerc, Craig Forsyth. I'm mixing up names while I'm looking at him. So right now, Andrew's in that lucky dog position as well. So It's very interesting what's all happening right here. And I say again, Andrew's not settled with everything too. He's going to make another run here to try to get around the 11. So yeah, I mean we've got 4 cars right now on the tail end of either the lead lap or 1 down. Andrew's trying to make it 5, and so yeah, this is a really weird position. I feel like if you're Matt Wagner right here, knowing you're basically a lap ahead of these guys, but just in a complete gaggle of cars.
Yeah, definitely. And there is, something else that goes on in your mind there besides saving fuel. It's like, all right, you guys are all a lap down. You all play with each other and take chances and drive crazy, and I'm just going to sit back here and watch.
Yeah, and the thing is, like I said, he's still doing really well in his fuel numbers here. As you see, Andrew Wood just got around him as well, so now that puts Craig Forsyth in that lucky dog position. Unfortunately, Charles Teed's fallen back behind that spot again as well, so that puts Charles Teed back to 2 down. But crazily enough, if Craig can get around the 11, that would put Charles Teed at 2 down, the first car a lap down. So as you see, 1 hit pit road. That's Henry Bennett was on the tail end lead lap. He pits now. So he's also stretching his fuel a little bit, or Matt's, I should say, stretching his fuel a little bit longer than Henry has. But yeah, so that really tells me the 11 car is going to be having to come in very shortly, as we're next time by is going to be 40 to go.
Nick DeGroot just keyed up. I think he's pitting. David Leclerc keyed up.
I think if you're
Matt Wagner just keyed up too.
Yep, here comes Matt. Looks like, yep, he's coming in and say just got to keep it nice and clean. You've seen the speeding penalties, what it's done to your competition. That looks like a very, very clean entry. So that's going to move Jeff Heisong to the point here. And I'm watching Jeff Heisong. I don't think he's pushing too hard. I think he's just cruising right now behind Charles Teed. Again, he was one of those drivers that pitted under that yellow. Yari Brupacher in second has also done that same strategy. And again, they pitted, what did I say, about 8-9 laps after Matt Wagner. I think that if this stays green, Steve, I think these guys can make it on their next stop to the end.
Well, I think we're looking at lap 68 or 69 as the magic number for those guys.
Also, you mentioned Michael Spells just hit pit road with Gary Corley. So I think ideally if they can get to maybe like 70, I don't know. This is pretty wild right now. But yeah, so right now you got Jeff Heisong right now showing as our race leader. Matt Wagner, apologies. He's actually right now 1 lap down. Actually, here comes Charles Teed. He has to hit pit road as well. So right now, as it sits right now, Matt Wagner is the first car 1 down, I believe, once everything cycles through, as he just made his pit stop, and he's right in the back of another gaggle of cars here. So he can't just rest here. He's going to have to try to pick his way through these guys carefully but quickly, as you see Henry Bennett's right there in front of him as well.
Okay, Nick DeGroot apparently did not have to pit before, so I'm not sure why he keyed up. I'm showing him still. Let's see, he pitted, according to this, lap 38.
Yeah, he pitted under that yellow. I think Nick DeGroot right now, I think he pitted under that caution when Henry Bennett stayed out. I think Nick right now, I think he's in that strategy as well to try to see if he can make it to the end on 1 more stop. Maybe he was talking to the 50 of David Leclerc, the 64 of Andrew Wood possibly. So there's a lot of potentials with what's going on right now. Craig Forsyth, I believe, also pitted around that caution time on 38. So, it's all to play for right now. The driver that pitted the latest on that pit stop was Joseph Morales in the 60 car. He sits in 4th position right now. He's away off the leaders, but again, I mean, if he can make it compared to the other guys, he's still going to be in a great, great position. Did you mention David Clare actually just hit pit road on the 50?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say at this point it's Jeff Heisong's race to lose.
I'm not going to say it's his to lose yet, because he's still got Yari Brupacher hot on his heels. Yari's only about 7/10 off. He's in that draft with him, but between those two, though, they've got about 5 seconds on Bud Steele. Joseph Morales, he just hit pit road, so not as far as he was probably hoping to make it on fuel. Still's burning way too much there. So that leaves now Bud Steele and Todd Merkel in the top 5 who have yet to pit as well. So basically right now we've got about 4 drivers on the lead lap, and then we've got a couple on the tail end, and then 1 in pit road right now. So Say don't go anywhere because who knows what's going to happen. Actually, as I say that, here comes, surprisingly, actually, here comes Jeff Heisong here now, Steve, with 35 to go. Brings Jari Brupacher with him, so that's going to move Bud Steele to the lead. These guys aren't really going as far as I thought they could, but you see Matt Wagner behind the 6 car. This is big for Matt because this will put him back on the tail end of the lead lap. I say, of course, never want to be trapped a lap down, so this is a big pass for the 11 car. Can Bud Steele, can Todd Merkel, can they stretch their fuel mileage? Because right now, there's been some other drivers that have been doing a little better than these guys on the fuel side of things. As it looks like now Andrew Wood's in pit road as well.
Okay, we're lap 66. None of those guys that just pitted are going to be able to make it without stopping again.
Correct. Yeah, it might be maybe a splash or something like that, but the one who is still, I think Bud has actually been full fuel save here this whole run. Maybe Todd Merkel as well, because again they pit on 38 as well. But they're still trucking here, Steve. They're on 68 now. You said if they could get to maybe 69, 70, that could be that magic number. So right now it looks like Bud is trying to aim for that window. It doesn't look like he's going to pit this time. Nope. Actually, as I said, here he comes. He's going to hit pit road here, coming to lap 69, and he's going to bring Todd Merkel with him. So we'll see where everything cycles out. But it will cycle out is going to be Matt Wagner. Once everything cycles through, I believe we'll put him back into the lead. And I believe at this point, everybody who had stayed out on that previous yellow and even pitted under the yellow, I think now that's completed that cycle of pit stops thus far.
Yep, and that's going to put Matt Wagner back into the lead.
And you see right in front of him Henry Bennett, though. So I think right now Henry's still on the tail end of the lead lap. Matt having to fight with, I believe that is the 50 David Leclerc. I think David trying to get back on the lead lap as well. And then Nick DeGroot's right here as well. So Matt's job isn't done. He's still having to fight hard, even though, again, he's got basically a lap on a lot of these guys up front. Jeff Heisong, he cycled out in that second position there in that number 18 machine. And then he's got a little bit of a buffer over Jari Brupacher there in third. These guys all pitted. Well, actually, Matt pitted on lap 60. It was 66 for Jeff and Jari. So right now, Matt's got about 6 laps less of fuel than those guys behind him. But like you said, Steve, I don't think anybody can make it at this point to the end. So based on that, like you said, I think track position is going to be king, which right now, that's what that 11 car has.
Yeah, the only thing that could really throw a monkey wrench into it is if we have a caution. Because then some of the guys who are real close to making it on fuel, they'll be able to save fuel under the caution. And they will be able to make it without stopping again.
Yeah, I say we're right at that window where we're going to be very close to drivers possibly being able to make it to the end if they start saving fuel, and that's where you wonder maybe someone like a Bud Steele who went as far as he could that last round and pitted. Why not maybe come in as soon as you're in your window, just take a splash of fuel, don't even take tires, save yourself a handful of seconds, and then basically pit once that window's open while your tires are still nice and fresh as well. So I think for those that pitted a little earlier, like I said, like a Matt Wagner at 60, I think at this point he's going to have to take enough fuel. You might as well put tires in that 11 car. So like I said, I think right now Matt's just trying to play this thing smart here. Like I said, a lot of time to go in this one. He wants this thing to stay green. He's got now Jeff Heisong right back on his rear wing. You also see Andrew Wood starting to creep back into the picture, and also the 5 of Charles Teed. He's rolling back into the frame as well. And then at the back of that group is the number 49 of Jari Brupacher. But these guys, Steve, they've got about 8 seconds actually now over 4th place of Benjamin Combs. So right now it's pretty much a 3-horse race for the win should things stay as they are.
Yeah, basically, if all these people still have to pit, then this definitely is going to come down to Wagner versus Heisong and Jari Brupacher, because those guys are all close enough to each other that their pit stops should all be pretty much the same amount of time.
Yeah, exactly right. So I think it's going to be all about kind of the in-lap to out-lap, and of course where you get out on track in relation to the others. As you can see, Matt's not just sitting on his laurels, though. See, he's working now, trying to get Henry Bennett back a lap down, working underneath the 50 of David Leclerc as well. Right now, Nick DeGroot, he's been able to separate himself a little bit, get some breathing room, as here comes Andrew Wood. He's going to make a charge again, try to get himself back on the tail end of the lead lap as well. Right now, sitting as the first car one down. And so we mentioned Craig Forsyth. Let's say he'll definitely be that Andrew Wood fan right now to put himself in that lucky dog position should a caution fly. But right now, I'll say it's just, yeah, it's Matt feels like he's probably in about a top 5, top 6 battle with these guys who are all on that tail end of the lead lap.
I mean, those guys are all going to have to make one more pit stop also. So unless there's a caution, there's no chance that they're going to be able to catch up to Matt.
Yep. Yeah, so it's a tough position to be in, because if you're Matt, he's like, man, if I could get around those guys, then only one of them would get their lap back. Whereas right now you see you've got 3 of them that would get the kind of that free wave around. As here comes Andrew Wood, he's trying to work the top side to get around the 18 of Jeff Hysong to try to get himself back on the lead lap. Now he's going to get a great run out of 2, and he's going to probably look low, I would believe. As it looks like Matt's actually taking the top side, but he's going to catch some dirty air from Henry Bennett there in 3. So say again, everybody's starting to jockey for that clean air position. Here comes Jari Brupacher. He's right in the picture here, Steve. So he's just a couple car lengths off these guys right now. So yeah, like we said, right now it's a very close 3-horse race. And I think we're in the window, but I think everybody's going to be a little timid here. They don't want to risk pitting too soon in case of another yellow like we saw last time. So I think we're going to see everybody run as far as they can on fuel. And then once they have to pit, they'll pit, take the tires, and then the minimum amount of fuel to make it to the end.
Yeah, I think that's what we'll see also. I wonder, like, if you only need, say, 3 gallons of fuel, can you still change tires that quickly?
I think tires are still pretty much, it makes about a 7-second pit stop. So you could gain time with fuel only. I just worry about the tire wear. I mean, I know these things are pretty much like, it feels like they're glued to the track, but when you've got hot slick tires on the pit exit especially, I feel like you'll probably lose what you might gain on the pit entry time, or sorry, on the no tire pit stop time. So it's definitely a very risk versus reward strategy there. So and then of course the other thing is, but that's the other thing too, Steve, is if you do have maybe get a really quick pit stop and cycle out in front of these guys, if they could break the draft off of one another, like say if you could get, let's say a Matt Wagner or Jeff Hysong, if you could clear those guys by about 2-3 seconds and get them out of your draft, that makes your life so much more relaxing than having to be in this pack that you've been fighting with like he has these past about 20 laps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's say we're pretty close to pit stops. So we're going to run through the field real quickly here. So we talked about obviously our leader Matt Wagner plenty. Say Jeff Hysong, we've mentioned him right now, still sitting solidly in second. Jari Brupacher third. And actually, going to mention here one of our first leaders a little further back, though, Joseph Morales. He hits pit road, but Benjamin Combs about now 9 to 10 seconds off the lead in fourth. Bud Steele in fifth. I'm surprised Bud hasn't pitted yet. I was hoping he would maybe go for that fuel-only strategy with the fresh tires he had. Then you got Gary Corley in the 6th position. And then you have Todd Merkel, who's actually hitting pit road. I'm sorry. Todd stays out. He is in 7th position. Say kind of towards the tail end of that lead lap. And then, of course, the chaos right a little further back with David Leclerc, Nick DeGroot, Henry Bennett, Andrew Wood. Now all those drivers on the tail end of the lead lap. Craig Forsyth, the first car, 1 down as they run. And then the 14 of Michael Spell is also 1 down. And then from Charles Teedon back are 2 or more down. You've got the 5 there, the 48 of James Ledford, the 110 of Joseph DeCiro, and then I believe Jimmy Dryden. Yeah, Jimmy Dryden is still out there. Also, I believe 3 down, and Jack Wall's 11 down. So just a real quick running order through the field, because like I said, pit stops are going to be coming very, very shortly here. As Matt pitted on lap 60, so we're at 19 to go. So it should be very, very soon for that 11 car to have to hit pit road.
Yeah, I think probably, let's see, I'm going to say somewhere around lap 88 probably.
And the other thing, though, that we mentioned, Steve, one thing he could be doing here, like you said, he's kind of settled in. It feels like, looks like everybody's kind of settled in a little bit here, is maybe running a little bit of a higher fuel map, save a little bit of fuel, need a little bit less to make it to the end. Like you said, every little bit you can take away is going to help you. But also got to mention Jari Brupacher. He's actually gotten around Jeff Hysong. Now he's working underneath Craig Forsyth. And so he's actually working on trying to get to Matt Wagner before the setup pit stop. So Jari coming on very strong here in the closing stages of this fuel run before they all have to make their last set of pit stops. However, you saw he had to roll out of it, Steve, and he lost about half a second just with that little bit of a moment. As now Craig Forsyth, he gets around that 11 of Matt Wagner, so Craig puts himself back on the tail end of the lead lap. So that puts now Michael Spell in the lucky dog position. But again, I think we're going to see pit stops very shortly. And if you base it off of what we saw earlier, the first of the drivers in this lead pack, again, a lap down, but in this lead pack would be Henry Bennett, because he last pitted on 58. And then it was Matt Wagner on 60, and then we had some of the other drivers a little bit later on, 63, 65, and so forth. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. But then you wonder, does action, and while we're talking about that, Jari Brubacher, Steve, he's now at the point.
Yep.
But I was going to mention, Steve, does anybody risk it here? Does anybody pit early, maybe try to get out of this pack of cars and get some clean air and run some qualifying laps? Or is it possible that just being in this big draft like you are, even as kind of as hectic as it is it still probably faster than running on your own here?
I think from what I saw in practice that being in this pack and having the draft is going to be faster than being by yourself.
So yeah, so then based on that, you don't want to be off on your own. So I'm trying to look around at some lap times at various drivers to see kind of where those numbers might bring you. I believe they're actually coming up on, I'm trying to see where... I'm too far back here. Let's see. I'm trying to see where Michael Spell is on track here. Okay, he's on the back stretch. The leaders are up front, on the front stretch. So he's about a half a lap back. I've been trying to look at lap times of drivers that are in clean air versus dirty air. Just again, like I said, to try to get an idea of the lap times that they're running. And yeah, I think you're right, Steve, because right now Jari Brubacher, he ran a 32.26 that last time by. I'm looking around on track, like the 2 car of Todd Merkel. He ran a 32.82, who's in clean air. So yeah, and actually, yeah, here comes Henry. Oh, yep, Henry Bennett and Matt Wagner. Okay, this could actually, I like this, Steve, because now if Matt can maybe play leapfrog with Henry, if they both nail their pit stops here, this could be a very, very smart call for Matt. I think this will be very interesting.
Yeah, I think so too. Let's see if they take tires. Watch Henry, I'll watch Matt.
I think they're going to have to take tires, Steve, as we're only at 13 to go. But yeah, I think we'll see tires. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on both of them and see what they do here.
I think not. I think don't take tires. Oh, Matt's taking
Matt's
tires.
up. Henry, I think, fuel only. Yep, there goes Henry. So you're right. Here's the savings we talked about. So now we'll see how they come out in relation. Hit Jeff Heisong. He reacts to that, Steve. He's going to hit pit road as well, coming to 11 to go, I believe. I'm sorry, coming to 12 to go. Jari Brubacher stays out another lap here, so Yari's going to stretch out a little bit longer than these guys around him. So now for Matt and for Jeff, they want this thing that they need it to stay green. Yari's thinking, man, if I can trap those guys a lap down, then get a yellow, I am golden. So we're going to watch and see how everything cycles through. Let's jump to Jeff Heisong and see what he does here. He's already down and away, 8.42, so I think that's tires on his stop as well.
Yep, it was.
So we'll see where he comes out in relation to Matt Wagner. As you're going to see, there goes Henry Bennett going around the outside. That's the fuel-only difference right there. So we talked about the strategy, and Henry did it, and he looks like he's done it to perfection because he has gapped that 11 car. And Matt Wagner just now catching that 18 of Jeff Heisong. So a great job by him. As I believe I just saw David Leclerc. He's peeled off into the pits. But again, here comes Jari Brubacher. He stays out yet another lap here, as these guys are starting to battle up in front of him to kind of do that leapfrog, I think, again. So very interesting as we got 10 to go.
Okay, so here's what I do if I'm Jari Brubacher. I'm taking as little fuel as possible and no tires.
Yep. I mean, if he's able to be aware of where Henry is, if he's got anybody in his ear, I think you're exactly right. I think you take the gamble, you take fuel only, and we're going to find out because here he comes, Steve. He's going to make his final stop of the race, and he's going to make sure he gets it slowed down. Looks like nice and safe entry there for him. Maybe gave up a little bit. And right now, the battle for what will become possibly the eventual lead is the 11 and the 18. They are right together again, so those two are going to be having a good battle here for the win. But let's watch Jari. Does he take fuel only? Does he take tires? We saw it worked for Henry Bennett, but now does he know? Is he aware of that strategy?
And we only have 8 laps left in the race. Okay.
Oh, nope, car's up. He's taking tires. All right, so now it's all about how his in and out laps are. As Nick DeGroot, he's hitting pit road as we speak. Here comes the 49. He's rolling out of pit road now. And then Matt Wagner and the 18 of Jeff Heisong, here they come. They're going to get around him through turns 1 and 2. Actually, they haven't got to him yet. Jari Brubacher, a great pit stop, Steve. He's going to build some speed. He's going to steal some draft right away off the 50 of David Leclerc. I believe Jari is going to hold the lead here after the set of pit stops, as we're going to be coming up to 8 to go here.
Wow, we're going to have all these 3 guys together. Oh my God, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, this is going to be a good battle for the win. Right now, though, we're going to jump up front, though, because Bud Steele, he's staying out here. I think he is going ultimate fuel saving in that 6 car. You can see he's just drafting off the 83 of Jack Wells. I don't suspect he can make it. As I said, I feel like that's way too far for him to go, but I think he's just saving every drop of fuel, maybe hoping for that potential yellow that could come out late. Because that's the other thing, Steve. There are no green-white checkers here, so if we get a caution, let's say with like 4 to go, that's it. This thing would finish under yellow, so if you're Bud Steele, you're just saving as much fuel as possible. As you see Todd Merkel, he's just blown on by him. I think these guys are on very different plans right now. So Bud Steele, he's going the fuel strategy approach. Craig Forsyth currently sitting in 3rd position. He's still yet to make his final stop. Same thing goes for Andrew Wood as well. So we're going to jump back to this battle, though, behind, because right now this is the three-horse race here for the win. It's Jari Brubacher on the inside, Matt Wagner to his outside, and then you've got the 18 of Jeff Heisong right behind them. That's a little connection issue for the 18, so that could get a little hairy here. But we've got 7 to go, as I say. Bud Steele stays out. He still leads us. Todd Merkel's hit pit road with Craig Forsyth, Andrew Wood, as the leaders go 3 wide here, entering turn number 1.
So for Bud Steele, and then there was 1.
Yeah, he's the last man out there, and say he's just drafting for all he's worth off the 83 of Jack Wells. Basically, he needs a yellow at pretty much the perfect time for him to have a chance at this one. But the problem is he's giving up so much time right now, Steve. Last time by, he ran a 34 to 62. Leaders running about 2.5 seconds quicker than him. So even with his saving here, if he can keep saving like he is, they're still going to catch him. So it's going to be very intriguing to see how this all pans out. As you see, actually, it's getting a little chaotic here on the exit here. These guys sitting 3 wide, trying to get sorted here. But I say this is probably exactly what Bud's hoping for, with everybody gaggled in with one another here. But we're going to jump back a little further, because now it's Jeff Heisong leading this group that's chasing him down. But now it's going to be Matt Wagner again peeking underneath here as we got 4 to go. I'm looking ahead back up again to Bud Steele. He's still saying, but here they come. You see Matt Wagner in the picture. They're pretty much grabbing the draft now. And you can see actually Matt's even starting to catch Henry Bennett. So that's the difference of the tires as well. I think Henry's car just doesn't have the performance anymore. But here comes Matt Wagner to say at this point, it's unfortunately not going to pan out for Bud. As the 11 car, he gets around the 6. He's going to take the lead here as we got 3 to go. Matt Wagner leading Jari Brubacher and Jeff Heisong. Right now, this is the battle for the win here at Auto Club. All right, Steve, so you mentioned that you didn't feel like they could make the outside passes. So is Matt going to protect the inside? He's not. He's going to protect them. He's going to stay middle. He's going to let Jari get to the inside. So we'll see what Matt's strategy is here coming out of turn number 4. Is he going to try to get the over-under? And surprisingly, Steve, these guys are protecting the outside line as we got 2 to go here.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see that also. I'm not sure why Matt didn't keep it low.
Now, the other thing is they are starting to catch some draft of cars in front of them. That's going to be the thing, too, is these guys are going to be trying to basically, I think, fight the draft to try to stay in the draft of one another, or stay in the draft of those cars in front of us. Jari Brubacher is still going to hold the lead here out of 4. You see Matt gets very tight in the dirty air behind the 49 car as we're going to get the white flag, Steve. So this is it. Final lap here at Auto Club. Jari Brubacher leading now. Matt Wagner and Jeff Heisong side by side for second. Oh, you got some traffic in front of him. He's going to have to move, gets to the bottom, gets some clean air. But Jeff Heisong's got a big run here off of turn number 2.
There's the one I called. He's that close. Will he be able to get him? No, he's pushing up.
Out of 4, it looks like he's going to have enough at the end. Yeah, Jari Brubacher going to win at Auto Club. Jeff Heisong going to bring it home in second. Matt Wagner third. But we talked about Yari Brubacher. He's been stepping up his game over the course of the season. He's going to get the win here tonight at Auto Club. That's going to be one very happy driver. He's also going to spoil the championship hopes a little bit of Matt Wagner and Jeff Heisong stealing some bonus points for the win. So I'll say, you know that the 007 of Henry Bennett, the 89 of Nick DeGroot, very happy about that. But got to mention, though, Nick DeGroot, Steve, he finishes in 6th position to Henry's 9th. So he's going to gain a little bit over Henry after all that craziness tonight. But I'll say one driver's not worried about the points, just worried about that checker flag and getting the win here tonight is that number 49 of Yari Brubacher.
Yep. That was a great run by Yari. Great. I mean, all those top 3 guys, just a great job not making mistakes and running the right strategy.
Yeah, it was like you said. I'm curious to see what would have happened if Yari or somebody decided to go with that strategy that we talked about with trying to save the fuel, or sorry, to do fuel only like we saw Henry Bennett do. But you kind of wonder if maybe Henry's tires fell off at the very end. That may have been what cost him. But actually, looking at the pit stops, Nick DeGroot also did a 5-second pit stop, so that says fuel only for me there as well. So. Yeah, that could have changed it out, but like I said, for these guys, the outcome doesn't matter. Yari's going to get the win here tonight. We're going to go over our results for this evening before we go into our interviews. And so we're going to pull them up here. And it is Yari Brubacher with the win by 0.2 of a second over Jeff Heisong. Matt Wagner, a 3rd position. You see 16 seconds back to 4th with the 60 of Joseph Morales. Benjamin Combs brings home a top 5. Like we said, Nick DeGroot somehow finds his way back up into 6th. Craig Forsyth as well, all the way up to 7th position after his issues. Then you got David Clare 8th, Henry Bennett 9th, and then Todd Merkel rounds out our top 10. And then 11th on back, you've got Andrew Wood, Bud Steele, Charles Teed, unfortunately, never was able to recover from his incident. And then you got James Ledford, Gary Corley, Jimmy Drynan, Joseph DeCiro, and Michael Spell. And the remainder of the field, unfortunately, say Jack Walls and Jim Brooks with an early retirement to finish in the 20th position. But with that, Steve, we've got some drivers to chat with. And one who I know always enjoys having chats with you, Steve, is going to be that number 11 of Matt Wagner. So we're going to pull him up because I say we've got some craziness to talk to him about. So let's grab that number 11 car of Matt Wagner and bring him on in. So Matt started 3rd, finished 3rd. But man, what a race. I mean, the strategy, the timing of the caution, trapping drivers' laps down, drivers running out of fuel. And then at one point, you being the one that gets the lucky dog, everybody else has to take the wave around. I mean, just how crazy was that from a driver's standpoint, and then trying to manage, like, okay, how's this all going to work out? I mean, how confused were you guys when all that came about?
I was quite dumbfounded, actually, how I trapped many guys to lap down. Just like you said, the timing of that caution was like, wow. I said, well, that completely changes things, so I can pretty much pace myself pretty much the entire race.
Yeah, saying that's the next part of that, where basically the rest of that race, it was all about trying to kind of figure out where to position yourself to be in that best position at the end. And I mean, let's say you were kind of in a rock and a hard place there, where you've got the drivers trying to get their laps back, of course. So you know they're going to be aggressive, and of course then you have to worry about the other guys like Yari and Jeff and company. I mean, how much were you? I mean, I'm guessing you probably were having to go be a little easier than you wanted to, just knowing the kind of the big picture. Like, hey, I've got some really good points possibly going my way after the unfortunate, or the misfortune, I should say, for Nick and Henry there. I mean, what were your thoughts on trying to battle that as well?
I was not content of. I was toward the end. I would look at like first, second, or third. First, second, third. Me crashing. Third, good points day. I think I'd take the points more than anything else. During the whole race, I was content where I was. I didn't want to risk the car getting damaged at all. Let the aggressive drivers go in front of me and hopefully make it to the end.
Matt, when you trap those guys a lap down, you had the option of pitting there and possibly being able to stretch your fuel and make it on one stop. Were you did you deliberately stay out to keep them trapped a lap down, or did you just think that was the best strategy as far as having your pit cycles?
I deliberately stood out so I can keep them a lap down. Because
Okay.
you know how Henry is. He is the fiercest competitor that we go through that in Andrew Wood and Craig and Nick DeGroot. And keeping those guys a lap down is a blessing in disguise.
So yeah, that worked out really well.
Yeah, it worked out to perfection. But we didn't get what the result we did. We wanted to win, but I'll take a third. Great point save for our guys.
Speaking of which, I have one question for you on your driving strategy those last few laps. You're in the lead. You got Yari right behind you, and I think it was on the back straight. You could have, or maybe it was the front straight. You could have stayed down on the inside and blocked him from getting underneath you, but instead you chose to stay high, and he got that run underneath you, which is what allowed him to take the lead. What? Why did you do that?
Most of the time, we would stay on the bottom. Most of the time, the car would wash up, and I was hoping off the corner, the guys were we were catching the lap cars, and I was hoping the draft would come into play, and it did not. And I got such an air wash coming off turn 3 and 4, and it was a bad decision, but I'm still happy with third.
Well, we're happy with third for you also because we got to talk to you.
Oh, actually, it was great hearing your voice there, buddy.
Thank you. Likewise.
Yeah, that was a great fight. Like I said, and like you said, you were kind of in a little bit of everything. Like I said, obviously Yari and Jeff, you're fighting with them, but then you're also, like I said, got those cars on the tail end lead lap right in front of you, so you have to worry about the arrow push and all that. Was there any adjustments that you found that you were able to make, maybe on the weight jacker or the ARBs, things like that, to kind of help be in the clean air versus the dirty air? Or was there just too much going on at that point to really kind of play with those as you were going along those final laps?
I didn't really adjust the weight jacker at all, pretty much. Toward the beginning of the race, I did because I kind of fell back a little bit. During the second stint, I really didn't play with the ARBs in the front and rear at all. So I just kind of left it alone.
Yeah, it was. I mean, again, just awesome job tonight, Matt. I say, like I said, able to get a good points line up. I say we'll have to see how it all cycles through. But I say getting third, I say some of the top two in points going into tonight, sixth and ninth. So I say got some laps led, of course, as well. So I say then definitely going to close the gap a little bit on those guys. We'll have to see what it's going to be going into the final race of the playoffs here.
Yeah, yeah, I'm really excited to see the points as well. I know I did get some bonus points for leading the most laps, but as far as total points, I'm quite curious where we're all at.
Yep, no, it's gonna be a lot of fun to see. But yeah, so just awesome job though tonight, Matt. So you get in that top three, and then like I said, closing that points gap, and say gonna probably looks like wind up giving Henry and Nick their run for their money in that last race here. So yeah, enjoy this one, but then good luck next week.
Appreciate it, and actually, I was gonna shout out.
Oh yeah, I gotta give you thanks, shouts. Thank you for catching me.
Yep.
You're welcome. I got HyperX, LMC Gear, Troy Lee's Designs, and big shout out to all of Area 51, all the mods, and do everything that you do. And a big shout out to Yari. Congratulations on his first Area 51 win.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that interview. That's gonna be a lot of fun. But yeah, you mentioned, I think last week, and say we were mentioning during the broadcast, has really been stepping up his game these last few races. So he's gonna be one that we're gonna have to watch out for on this next upcoming season if we're not careful.
Yeah, he's improving quite well, and it's getting kind of scary. So, all right, guys, y'all take care and have yourself a good night.
You too, Matt. Great job.
All right, before we get to talk to Yari, though, we got to talk to our second place finisher, which is the number 18 of Jeff Hysong. So we're going to pull him on in here. And Steve, Jeff was one of those guys I was talking to before the race, and he felt like this could be a really fun one. I think if things go well, let's say this could be a good result for tonight. And you couldn't have been more right, Jeff. I'll say obviously things got a little bit haywire there, kind of during the first pit stop cycle, but then from then on, I'll say you were there working your way forward. Say slightly different strategy on Matt, ran a little further there than fuel than he did. But just unfortunately wasn't quite enough to grab Yari. But say obviously still a great result tonight. But I mean, just take us through the race and kind of what you had to work through to get yourself in contention, and then say with everything that was going on around you with the field.
I mean, it was a fun one. It was pretty wild. But yeah, I mean, it was just status quo, try and avoid the dirty air going into the corner and get a good run for the most part. And I knew that if I could keep it clean, I'd be able to pass people. And I mean, we got up there, just couldn't get quite to the front.
And was that just a clean air thing, or is that also with the kind of the lap cars being in front, kind of like right at that, you're like right at the edge of that draft mark that we kind of, you always talk about having that clean air versus dirty air. Did that feel like that was maybe the difference, if it was just you guys in just completely clean air in front, that you probably could have done something different there?
Yeah, that last lap, we kind of had a lap car on the top going down the backstretch, and I wanted to get to the top and use that through 3 and 4, and I wasn't quite able to get up there. So I don't know if I'd have had anything for him or not. In practice, it kind of felt like it would have been a close run, but I'm not sure. But I mean, that gaggle of cars came off a pit road, and I just sat there in Discord, and I was like, oh, this is going to get wild.
Jeff, when you made that, or when you were coming down to your last pit stop, or the second to last one, were you thinking that maybe you could stretch it and not have to pit again?
I was looking at my usage, and I kind of wanted to go another lap or two, but I wasn't sure I'd make it. And I ran out of fuel on the last lap before and lost tons of time, and I just didn't want to risk it again. So I kind of just pit early and decided to go with the extra stop.
So that, all right. So then my other question is, did you think about not taking tires on that last stop?
Actually, that's a good question. I did. I was literally driving down pit road, clicking tires, no tires, tires, no tires. And I literally finally was just like, all right, put the tires on and see what it can do in the last laps. Because if I can catch a draft, I could catch back up.
I've done that. I know what that's like.
Yeah, no, that was what Steve and I were talking about. We saw some drivers do it, let's say notably those drivers that were on that tail end trying to get their lap back, like Henry Bennett, Nick DeGroot, of course, kind of the guys you're racing with week in and week out. And we saw they had really quick lap time or pit stop time, so we looked, and sure enough, they did feel lonely on their stops. But I say it's just, I'm guessing also for you, it's like it's not something you really practice. You know how to hustle a car out of the pits on brand new tires. But I'm guessing that's not something you practice very often on a used set of tires to maybe see how it will pan out.
Yeah, that'd probably been pretty sketchy coming out of the pits with that pit exit. Because I mean, even on cold new tires, it can be sketchy if you push it too hard. So yeah, I don't know. I'd have been worried about bending it into the wall.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a big risk for Saward and Satan. Obviously, I mean, you and Yari and Matt all get out together there at the end. So I say it worked out in the long run. I say it was a great battle between the three of you for that win tonight. So awesome job tonight. Definitely wanted to give you the floor though. Any thanks and shouts you'd like to give for that second place run tonight?
Big shout out to you guys. Always great on the broadcast. Shout out to the family, the wife, and the kids. And yeah, that's about it. Excited for next week at Indy.
Yeah, I'll say next week. I say it's all gonna kind of come down to Indy. I think that's probably one of the best places to finish off the season. So that's gonna be a lot of fun over there. 85 laps at Indy. So be looking forward to that one. So yeah, Jeff, awesome job tonight. I know I get to kind of have some fun with you tomorrow night on the dark horse side of things with some very different driving cars, but we'll be doing some lefts and rights over there at Mosport, so that'll be a challenge for us, I'm sure. But for now, though, enjoy this one, and we'll see you at the finale next week, sir.
Hey, thanks, guys. You guys have a good one. And yeah, congrats to Yari on that win. Great drive, bud.
Great job, Jeff.
All right, so you see, I think it's one of those things, Steve. I think drivers very, very happy for our winner here tonight. First time Area 51 winner, but we said steadily improving throughout the season, but tonight gets it done. Yari, awesome job tonight getting that win, and we saw that pit stop. You went a little longer than the other guys. It's always kind of a nerve-wracking situation to be in, of course, to figure out when's the right time to make that pit stop, but you nailed the pit stop. You even got out in front of them to give yourself a little bit of breathing room before it kind of all kicked off those final laps. What was going through your mind those final laps, trying to figure out where to position yourself to be in the best place to get the win tonight?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised I came out in front of the other lead guys as I stayed out longer and was caught up a little bit in a fight with some lapped cars, and somehow I guess I came very quickly into the pits, and that paid out. And yeah, I mean, once I saw the gaggle of lapped cars in front, I knew that was my chance. I had tried to save my tires a little bit throughout the run, and yeah, I knew that once they would get dirty air, it would be maybe my chance to pass everyone, and I did.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely, so you did exactly what you needed to do. And like I said, pitted those couple laps later. I mean, that also probably helped a little bit on the tire side of things as well. But I mean, just the race in general too. I mean, I say we've obviously had plenty of caution-free races in this series, and of course, just in Area 51 in general as well. But then just the timing of the Yellowstone, I say that first one being right in the middle of the pit stop cycles. We saw you were one of those drivers that had to take the wave around just to get back on the lead lap. I mean, take us through. I mean, what were you thinking when you saw that caution come out and trying to figure out, okay, am I the lucky dog? Am I still on the lead lap? Am I a lap down now? And we saw Craig run out of fuel there when he was trying to get his pit stop done. I mean, what was your mindset? I mean, what were you having to try to figure out there when all that was happening?
Well, I mean, I knew Craig still had the pit, so we would get the wave around. The problem was we weren't able to pit during that caution, so might have been the same situation next time again when we all had to come in and Craig still had the full fuel tank. Personally, it wasn't that bad because if I remember correctly, I was the second car behind the pace car when we came out of the pits. So there wasn't. It didn't affect my race as much as it probably would have if I had been further down.
Yari, I have to ask a kind of a non-racing question.
Yeah.
What country are you from, and what time is it there right now?
I'm in Switzerland. It's 4 a.m. I can
Boy,
luckily do this because I only work part-time, so I don't have to work on every day of the week, and this allows me to race most of these events.
that's great. So you and Henry Bennett are two night owls.
Exactly, yeah. But I'm soon going to sleep, though. It's getting a little late.
Well, I bet you're going to sleep extremely well tonight. I mean,
I hope so.
But yeah, no, I mean, just it was just an awesome job tonight, Yaria. So, like I said, we've been talking about you last couple of races. I know I'm gonna say I think this was definitely a very popular win as well. Say Matt and Jeff were quick on wanting to make sure that they congratulated you as well on the win in their interviews also. So yeah, I mean, it was just really cool to see you to get that first win over here. And like I said, I mean, I think everybody's been noticing just the steady progression you've been making all season long as well with the league, with these cars, with obviously very, very difficult competition as well. So yeah, just congrats on the win. I think definitely one to enjoy for sure. But before we let you go and let's get some well-earned sleep, though, we're gonna definitely want to give you the floor here for any thanks and shouts you'd like to give for that win tonight.
Just want to thank everybody in the league who organizes the series, and you guys in the booth, and all the other drivers who already congratulated me. That was really nice. Yeah, enjoyed it. I enjoy racing here, and thank you guys.
Congrats again, Yaris. I enjoyed this one. Look forward to hopefully seeing you next week at Indy for this season's finale, and then hopefully we'll be seeing plenty more of you on next season as well.
Yeah, thank you. So have a good night. Bye-bye.
All right, take care, Yari. Congrats again.
Yep, good night, Yari. Bye-bye. Great win.
So, Steve, our race winner, Yari Brupacher, at 4 a.m. over there in Switzerland. But can't celebrate too hard, so he's gonna have to get himself calmed down a little bit probably before he can get himself to sleep. So, but yeah, just an awesome job by him tonight to get that win. Like I said, well earned finish. It sounds like a very well received win as well. It's always fun to see drivers get their first win in any series, and of course, like I said, in a competitive one like this, it's always really cool to see. So, but man, Steve, just What a race! I mean, that had a little bit of everything tonight, and like we said at times, it was hard for us to keep up.
It was. There were just so many different things going on, so many different strategies, people making mistakes, and then trying to figure out how it was going to affect them. I mean, Craig Forsyth, for running out of fuel and losing, I think, 2 laps to come back and finish 7th is impressive. Henry Bennett and Nick DeGroot, I guess, decided to make the points race a lot more interesting with their little mistakes. And those 3 guys with that battle up front at the end, I mean, the strategy played out beautifully, and the 3 of them raced each other beautifully, and it was so much fun to watch this race tonight.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun on that one. And yeah, so you mentioned on the point side of things. So Henry Bennett, he holds on to the points lead. It's now a 9-point lead between himself and Nick DeGroot, and then it's 20 between Matt Wagner and Henry Bennett. So say obviously not. Matt definitely not out of the running. I think from there on, it's pretty much a 3-horse race because Craig is 46 points off the lead. So I think next week at Indy, it's going to be pretty much Henry versus Nick versus Matt for the championship here for the season. So man, it's going to be a lot of fun, Steve. I can't wait to go over that one with you. So it's going to be 85 laps at Indianapolis. We know those guys are able to what kind of show those guys are able to put on over there.
Oh yeah, definitely. That should be a fun race.
All right, so everybody that watches and supports us here at Green White Checker TV, of course, with help from Dark Horse Racing, Area 51 Racing League, and of course ESTV as well, also able to broadcast with them. So just thank you so much for watching us, for supporting us, and it's been a lot of fun. So it's crazy to believe that next week's going to be our season finale for here, but we still got more racing to go. Say on Thursday we've got the second to last race for the Premier Series, and then of course same thing goes for the Super Speedway Series on Sunday, and then next week will be the season finale or playoff finale as well for all 3 of the series. So definitely stay tuned for those. We'll have a couple weeks off, and we'll be back pretty quick in September. So until then, I hope you all have a wonderful evening, and until then, have a good night, everyone.
Night, everybody.